Wow, am I out of practice? I realized after my first video, this is my third video. It keeps stopping around 8 minutes, but I think it happens every time I hit the Bixby key because I'm using a Samsung S9 that has a dedicated key on the side of it that starts the Bixby voice recognition system and actually shuts down my whole video. It's the most annoying thing that I've ever seen. But when you're using your phone to take videos and you have to do a lot of moving around from side to side, you end up having to hold the phone on the left, having to hold the phone on the right, and you have to grasp the phone. In this case, the phone is not in a case. Now, in this case, and what that may mean is that the buttons are pressing quite easily for me, versus if this was in a hard rubber case, I may be able to swing this laptop from the trees and not have those buttons pressed so easily. But the way it is right now, the buttons are very easily pressed and easily accessible to my fat fingers as I try to maneuver. So I'm going to avoid the maneuvering on this video just to try to get this completed because it's actually taken me 2 tries at about 8 minutes apiece. So 20 minutes later, and I still haven't made the video that I want to without having to edit it, which my editing skills are a little bit, leave a little bit to be desired. But the reason for this video was that I wanted to show you this wonderful Raspberry Pi and try to keep my fingers in the right place as I'm doing it. Very difficult. Also, the problem I had in my first video was that I had the phone in the upright position, which is called, there's that finger again. Which finger is it? Wow, I gotta have some things cut off. This is the portrait mode, and this is the landscape mode, and this is the way you want to be taking videos, because when you're watching it on a TV screen, if you're using your video in portrait mode or vertical mode, then you're going to pretty much have black bars on the left and right of your screen, which is not to be advised. So just as a summary, I'm going to show you just a basic 24-inch LCD screen by Dell. It's a pretty good one. I think it's an IPS screen. And it's hooked to my Raspberry Pi now so that I can have a quiet music server. And I'll go through the inputs and outputs in a second, but this is the previous music server over here, my laptop. And that's an old gateway that's about 15 years old that strangely had a digital analog, a digital audio output on the side, a combo port, which is quite rare and interesting, that I talked about, I believe, in another laptop for music video several months ago on this channel. But amazing that I was able to actually run a digital optical cable out of that old laptop and into my receiver to get some high quality audio out of the digital realm here easily, and be able to run whatever I wanted for a program, and fiddle with that as a server hooked up to the network and have it be controlled using my phone, which is what I wanted to do. And previous years I'd used iTunes for this, and then I realized quickly that my laptop was too loud. Fans in this thing, a couple of large ones on the bottom. I bought a laptop cooler, only made it louder. I realized that for testing and diagnostic purposes, I needed to have it completely silent, which is where the Raspberry Pi comes in. And so this is a 2 gigabyte this is a Raspberry Pi 4 with 2 gigabytes of RAM. I believe they're also available in 4 gigabytes and possibly even 8. And the Raspbian operating system is built on Linux, which was a bit of a challenge for me because I had always used Windows. I'm not a coding type, and I'm not really into into it that deep. But previous Linux users have all heard of the Raspberry Pi, and so I thought it was a neat little system. I got a hold of it at a reduced price as a kit made by Cana, and I don't know if it's Cana what, but it's a Cana kit, and it included this case. So normally you would buy the chip or the board for this. The white half of that computer will come right off, And it would show you that the board is only about the size of a deck of cards in dimensions, but also quite thin. So the case takes up, twice 3 times as much space as the board actually does. But I needed a way to hold this and kind of display the ports and whatnot. And so I went ahead and found a kit for it, which I seem to like quite well. Um, if we can get this thing to focus, we have a micro SD card on the front. And this is our micro SD slot. If you can see it down at the bottom center. Focus, focus. For some reason she's not wanting to focus for me. Oh. Fun with cameras. With phones, rather. Anyway, micro SD port in there. And a power light. I'm using a 64 gigabyte chip. See if I can not push the Bixby button. Whew. Wow, that was risky. Okay. So yeah, install your preferred version of Raspbian onto that micro SD card, and pretty much what you want to do is burn it as an image, download it from raspberry.com, and the newest operating system is Bullseye, which came out in April, and it runs quite smoothly. It's a little bit more graphically inclined than previous versions, and it's got an automatic update system now, so you're not forced to always be looking to manually update the operating system. And it will give you a little warning in the upper right hand corner, if you will, and I'll show you that in a second. But I want to just go over the inputs and the outputs. As you see on the far left, you've got that's your power input, which is a USB-C input, which is quite nice because that's our newest connection that works out quite well as far as USB is concerned. And beside it, you can see we have two HDMI inputs. Boy, this is not focusing, bro. There we go. It wants to focus. I don't know why it's not. There we go. Well, it's in and out. I guess I need to have an adjustment on this camera. Anyway, two HDMI ports, one of which is going out to the monitor, of course. The other one is left open. And we also have a analog audio output on the far right. Focus, focus, focus. Wow. Okay, so that will allow you to hook a set of headphones up, or that will allow you to run it out to a pair of powered speakers if you had the right audio cable. On the side, we've got two USB 3.0 inputs, and we've got two USB 2.0 inputs, and so that makes for a nice bevy of externals that you can run. Right now I'm running a wireless keyboard and mouse, and I'm running let's see, what else am I running? A hard drive, USB 3.0 hard drive from Western Digital, so that allows it to maintain some bit of speed. So anyway, let's jump right to it with minding my fingers and the Bixby button. Don't hit the buttons. Gosh, it's really difficult. As we bring up our monitor here, wake up. But I guess I'll just leave it right up here. This is your, well, let's start from scratch. This is how the screen would look for your normal screensaver for the new Bullseye operating system. And as I said, it's a pretty good monitor and a pretty good looking graphical user interface. It's got a lot of icons that allow you to select things like as you would from Windows. And one of the things that you just want to check right off the bat, up in the upper right with your little speaker icon, you've got your option for outputs. And so in this case, we've got the audio video jack, like I already said, was for pretty much headphones. And if you wanted to run an analog output stereo out to a couple of powered speakers or something like that, you would do that using that jack there, the 3.5 millimeter phono jack. The other option is the HDMI output, which would allow your sound to go right to the monitor here. So the monitor does actually have a couple of small speakers built in, and so this is just your sound setting right now. And so what I've chosen is the DigiHub, they call it, USB audio, and I think that was probably meant to be DigiHub, but they called it DigiHub. And so anyway, that's what's selected. So as an output for music, this is going from our USB, okay? So this silver cable here is our USB output that I've chosen to run the digital audio out over here to my rat's nest and my sound system, which I kind of have on the other side of the room. But what we have here is we have it running into an external digital to analog converter, a little FIO that I bought that works via USB. And so you can see this is a USB-A on the other side, but on this side it's a USB, I believe, micro version, okay? And so this is our input. And then as an output, we have a regular digital cable running over to a digital amp that I've chosen over here, a Denon 1082, and then out to our speakers. And a sub that I hooked up today to try to see how it would sound with a little more bass, and it does sound quite fantastic. So those choices there, what you use for an amp, what you use for a digital audio converter, what you use for speakers is going to affect things greatly. And I'm quite happy with the ability to use this as a server that I can actually control using my phone is what I really wanted this to do, and have it be in complete silence. No fans in the other room when I go down this hallway. There's a essential oil diffuser that I leave on down there. Had to shut that off. That black box down at the very end of that hallway, refrigerator. Fan turns on, I can hear that too, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so that's a problem. So I pick my times to do my critical listening, and then I pick my electronics to support that fact that during testing I'm going to need complete silence. So from here, the interesting thing about these Raspbian operating systems is that they have up in the upper right, upper left, we have our little Raspberry, and that's gives us our drop down for our options and apps. And under sound and video, we have VLC Media Player, which is the default Raspbian music player. And VLC is actually a pretty complicated and thorough program that I like as well or better than iTunes, which I had used for, like I say, I think it was 10 to 20 years I used that program and liked it quite a bit. But since Raspbian was offering this as a stock player, I thought that I would get very familiar with it, and I have, and I like it a lot. It's got a lot of options. And it does everything that I can imagine, including be a server for web-based interaction. So what that means is that I can control it on that same network using my phone through an app called vDirect, and that's what I'm using right now. So anyway, interesting little reason and how I happen to come to this whole Raspberry Pi, but it seems to work out quite well. And this is able to play lossless files and high resolution files that I can choose based on audio recordings, and it'll play just about everything you throw at it. So overall, I'm quite impressed with this, and it makes for a nice system. And then so from here, I think it's able to play, but I can go down to something like my external hard drive here, and I can click on that, and I can see what's in there, and I've got to say iTunes Media. Ooh, FrostWire, that's an old one. Remember FrostWire? Let's see what's in there. Shared, incomplete, saved. Let's go with saved. Let's see what there. Dire Straits. The Who, Boris the Spider. Train. I like Train. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Who knows? The Seeker? Well, we should play something just to see.
Concrete Blonde, Foo Fighters, Midnight Oil, the beds are burning. Wow, even the losers. Well, we'll just do the drive-by. We'll see if it'll play. The last I knew, it wasn't playing for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Um, but anyway, that's how you would get it to play. It's possible I've turned the amp off by now, but anyway, yeah, this is kind of how you want to do things if you're into digital music, and you can control it completely with an app called VDirect, and it allows you complete control. You can stop, you can pause, you can turn the volume up and down, you can choose another song, you can see all the folders on your hard drive. I can access this hard drive here um, from my phone, and I can see all these files that I can see here, and I can select them on my app. It works out perfectly, and thank you for listening. We're at 15 minutes. That's quite a long video, but I want to see how this comes out. I'm glad I didn't hit the Bixby button this time. I'm glad I didn't block the microphone too much. And so, as I say, I'm out of practice. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully we learned something today. I'll talk to you folks soon.